23 says you have heard it said. But I say, that was one of the.
Yeah, but the one that I said is not in the manuscript. That's not in the manuscript.
Yeah, Bullinger makes a note that all the oldest Greek manuscripts do not show that. It's a note in Bullinger's. Yeah. I have to have lights. I can see what thing's going on. I'm good. Connie got it. Thank you. Connie got it. You know, I was going to preach on, or not preach, but teach. Not preach, so just teach. On what basically is most recently happened, and that is death. My mother passed away, and so I was going to do that, and my helpmate in life, my better half over here, says, "You don't want to do that. Everybody already knows that anyway." I said, "I'll just open up the book." And so I opened up the book last night, which is a lot of times what I do, just let Yahweh give the words that he wants me to speak. And so I opened up the book and I turned to Isaiah 51. So Isaiah 51 it is. You know, it's something that, as I read it, I was certainly blessed by it. I want to read it and then share with you what Yahweh spoke to me about. It says, "Hearken to me," Yahweh is saying, "hearken to me, ye that follow after righteousness, and you that seek Yahweh. Look unto the rock from whence you were hewn, into the hole of the pit that you are digged from. Look unto Abraham your father, and unto Sarah that bare you, for I called him alone, and blessed him, and increased him. For Yahweh shall comfort Zion, he will comfort all her waste places, and he will make her wilderness like Eden, and her desert like the garden of Yahweh. Joy and gladness shall be found therein, thanksgiving and the voice of melody. Hearken unto me, my people, and give ear unto me, O my nation. For a law shall proceed from me, and I will make my judgments to rest for a light of the people. My righteousness is near, my salvation is gone forth. My arms shall judge the people, and the isles shall wait upon me, and on my arm they shall trust. Lift up your eyes to the heavens, and look upon the earth beneath. For the heavens shall vanish away like smoke, and the earth shall wax old like a garment, and they that dwell therein shall die in like manner. But my salvation shall be forever, and my righteousness shall not be abolished. Hearken unto me, ye that know righteousness, the people in whose heart is my law. Fear ye not the reproach of men, neither be ye afraid of their revilings. For the moth shall eat them up like a garment, and the worm shall eat them like wool. But my righteousness shall be forever, and my salvation from generation to generation. Awake, awake, put on strength, O arm of Yahweh. Awake as in the ancient days, in the generations of old. Art thou not that hath cut off Rahab and wounded the dragon? Art thou not in which hath dried the sea of the waters of the deep, that made the depths of the sea a way for the ransom to pass over? Therefore the redeemed of Yahweh shall return, and come with singing unto Zion, and everlasting joy shall be upon their head. and they shall obtain gladness and joy, and sorrow and mourning shall flee away. I, even I, am he that comforteth you. Who art thou that thou shouldest be afraid of man, that thou shalt die, and the Son of Man, which shall be made as grass, and forgetteth Yahweh thy Maker? He has stretched forth the heavens and laid the foundation of the earth, and has feared continually every day because of the fury of the oppressor, as if he were ready to destroy. And what is the fury of the oppressor? The captive exile hastened that he may be loosed, that he should not die in the pit, nor that his bread should fail. But I am Yahweh thou Elohim, that divideth the sea, whose waves roared. Yahweh Elohim of hosts is his name. I have put my words in my mouth, and I have covered thee with the shadow of my hand, that I may plant the heavens and lay the foundations of the earth, and say unto Zion, thou art my people. Awake, awake, stand up, O Jerusalem, which has drunk at the hand of Yahweh the cup of his fury, and has drunken the dregs of the cup of the trembling, and wrung them out. There is none to guide her among all the sons whom she hath brought forth, neither is there any that taketh her by hand of all the sons that she hath brought up. These two things are come upon thee. Who shall be sorry for thee? Desolate and destruction and famine and sword. By whom shall I comfort thee? Thy sons have fainted. They lie at the head of all the streets as the wild bull in a net. They are full of the fury of Yahweh and the rebuke of Elohim. Therefore hear now this, afflicted and drunken, but not with wine. Thus saith Yahweh Elohim, Yahweh thy Elohim hath pleaded the cause of his people. Behold, I will take out of thy hand the cup of trembling, even the dregs of the cup of fury, that thou shalt no more drink it again. But I will put it into the hand of them that afflict thee, which have said to thy soul, bow down, that we may go over, and hast laid thy body as the ground and the street to them that went over. You know, how do you start with something that massive? I will give you an example of something that just struck me very harsh and very plainly. It says that, verse 16, I have put my words in thy mouth, and I have covered thee with the shadow of my hand, that I may plant the heavens and lay the foundations of the earth, and say unto Zion, thou art my people. Have you ever thought about what Yahweh has in store for his people? He's going to plant the heavens. You ever think about what you're going to do for eternity? How many stars are there? What Yahweh has in store for us, we cannot even comprehend. It's beyond our mortal thought. I've always thought that what Yahweh is doing here, he said he did not create the heavens in vain. Is he going to do the same thing over and over and over and over until the heavens, all of the heavens, sing praises to his glory? I think he is. Brethren, I think we're called to be part of that. If that don't humble you, I don't know what does. You know, I was reading, I got stuck in the first two verses. I really wasn't going to read it all. And I thought, well, let's just read it in context. The first two verses was more than enough study to even get past those two. Because it started out, if you hearken unto Yahweh, it says, ye that follow after righteousness. How do you follow after righteousness?
Right.
You know, there is a way that seemeth right unto a man, but the end thereof is death. And so we have to have a plan of what that is in righteousness. And I would agree, we want to follow righteousness. But in Romans, so I started to think about in the terms in Yahweh's mind, what is righteousness? What is he trying to teach us? Because you got to remember when Paul told Timothy to study the word, because in it he would find everything he needed to be thoroughly furnished unto every good work. The New Testament was not written. So Paul is telling Timothy to study the word. That's what we were reading there is the word. Do you not know that everything that Yahweh has promised, and we've talked about this many times, the spirit of prophecy is the testimony of Yeshua Messiah. When you read in Revelation, the Messiah was the lamb slain before the foundation of the world. You start to get some insight as to what Yahweh is doing. When we read in the prophets that no longer will he be called Yeshua, Yahweh's salvation, but he will be called by a new name, which is Yahweh, our righteousness. How do you get that righteousness? You know, in the book of Romans, Paul, who is a servant of Yeshua Messiah, Romans chapter 1, called to be an apostle, separated for the good news of Yahweh, which he has promised before by his prophets in the set apart scriptures, which is what we're reading. Paul recognized, and you know, Paul's a lawyer of the law. Paul said he was a lawyer of the law, raised at the feet or taught at the feet of Gamaliel. No one, I don't think there's no question in my mind that when it comes to the writers of the New Testament, no one had the understanding of the law of Yahweh in a greater portion than Paul did, besides Messiah himself. No one. He was brilliant at it. It's why Joshua blinded him on the road, because he knew what he could do for the body, for the saints, for what Yahweh was going to do, the children, the lost sheep, that he was uniquely suited for it. Yahweh raised him up for it. So here's Paul, get into his mindset, and he says that he has prophesied by his prophets in the set apart scriptures concerning his son, Yeshua Messiah, our master, which was made of the seed of David according to the flesh, and declared to be the Son of Yahweh with power according to the spirit of boldness by the resurrection from the dead. Now, if you go back to Jeremiah 51, we're just going to go back and forth here just a little bit. We're in 51. We just read, hearken to me that seek after righteousness, that seek Yahweh. Look unto the rock from where you were hewn. The rock. Over here in Romans, he says that, and declared to be the Son of Yahweh with power. Who was it that declared, you are Messiah, Son of Yahweh? Was it not Peter? And the world has established this false narrative that upon Petra, the stone, that he would build his assembly. It was not that. It was upon the confession that Yeshua is the Messiah, the Son of Yahweh. That's the rock. You remember the rock that followed them in the wilderness? Remember the rock that gave them water? This is what the prophets have been talking about from the beginning. When we just read in Isaiah, he says that through my arm that I separated the waters, that you could cross over. It says, thou art, in verse 10, 51, art thou not that which dried the sea of the waters of the great deep, and hath made the depths of the sea a way for the ransom to pass over? Who was the ransom? It was Israel himself. Israel was the ransomed of Yahweh. This is talking about Yeshua. This is talking about what he did, the mighty power, the hand of Yahweh. Isaiah is referring to it. This is all about Yeshua the Messiah. Yahweh's hand, his right hand. So we find that if you're seeking, I'm getting to this point, if you're seeking righteousness, if you want to follow righteousness, then I would suggest that you have the mindset of Paul, who said, okay, if you want to boast, you want to put up your credentials, I'll stack mine against anybody. Hebrew, tribe of Israel, tribe of Benjamin, circumcised on the 8th day, touching the law, blameless, persecutor even of the assembly. Yet he said he counted it all as dung. For what? The righteousness by faith in Yeshua the Messiah. Imagine that. The credentials, a man who had that much credentials counted it as dung, compared to the righteousness that he got through the faith in Yeshua the Messiah. So if you seek Yahweh's righteousness, you can only, in what I believe the word teaches, the Yahweh set apart spirit, you will only find it in Yeshua Messiah. He was the Word made flesh. This does not discount the Torah. This has nothing to do with discounting the Torah. We just read, Cody read it to us. Think not that I've come to change one jot or one tittle until everything be fulfilled. None of that is done away with. Everything is purposeful, perfect. But righteousness on our part comes through the faith in Yeshua Messiah. Nothing else. To keep Yahweh's commandments shows that you truly don't just give lip service to that, but that you believe it by your actions, by what you do. That's faith showing your works show your faith. It says, so in the book of Romans, when he's talking, he says, by the resurrection from the dead, the good news. What is the glad tidings? Is the glad tidings not that, let me ask you a question, this simply. If the glad tidings not that Yahweh will redeem Israel through the shed blood of Yeshua Messiah, his salvation, and dig you from the pit where you are at, where we are all at until we came to Messiah. We were all in that pit. So Isaiah, look unto the rock when you are hewn, and unto the hole of the pit where you were digged. Joshua does the digging. We're dug out. It is through his sacrifice that we are redeemed from the pit. That's the good news. The good news is Messiah is the proof that Yahweh's word is perfect, true. He will redeem us, and he will bring about, they asked him after 40 days being with him, they said, will you now restore the kingdom to Israel? It's a statement that's so overlooked, people don't really think about it in the terms of what was the powerfulness of that question they asked him. Will you now restore the kingdom to Israel? And yet, we read over here that Yahweh will comfort Zion. He will comfort all her waste places, and he will make her wilderness like Eden. And her desert like the garden of Yahweh. Where do we remember that term, the garden of Yahweh? Where was that at? Was that not in the very beginning? The garden of Yahweh. It is a restoration message. This is why the scriptures tell us that the testimony of Yeshua Messiah is the spirit of prophecy. It's just something, I hope you just embed that in your heart and you understand it to the fullness, that no matter what happens, no matter what Satan tries to throw at you, no matter what deceptions come at the end days, that is not going to change. Yahweh will do what he said he will do. He says he will bring about the comfort of Zion. He will bring about his people. That's why they ask him, will you now restore the kingdom to Israel? Because they got it. They understood the good news. Glad tidings. If you're seeking Yahweh's righteousness and you're seeking Yahweh himself, the only way to get those two things is Yeshua Messiah. There are some that want to deny Messiah to their death. Because I will guarantee you, those that deny Messiah and do not change, they will die. You cannot see Yahweh's face or enter into his kingdom unless you come through Yeshua Messiah. He says, I am the way. You ain't getting there no other way. The importance of what Yahweh's doing in his plan and how Yeshua fits into that is the good news. It is the calling that we are called to proclaim to the world. A light that's not hid under a basket. The salt that doesn't lose its savor. We don't wash it down. We don't compromise. It is what it is. There's only one name given under heaven. I don't care what men say. I don't care what men think. Yahweh's word says there's only one name given under heaven whereby you must be saved. Yahweh doesn't mince words. So if you want to be saved, then follow what he says to do. Those who were baptized by John the Baptist, when they came along and they said, have you been baptized in the name of Yeshua Messiah? They said, no, only John's. Now, John was what? Yeshua said, no man was ever born of a woman greater than John the Baptist. And so if you had your physical baptism by John the Baptist, and yet you think, you know what? I'm going to do what the Spirit tells me to do. I'm going to be baptized in Yeshua's name because there is no other name. I don't care what baptism you had. If you haven't been baptized in Yeshua's name, you need to be baptized in Yeshua's name. It's just a fact. You cannot justify it any other way. It has to be that way. But there's only one man that ever rose from the dead. The good news is only Yeshua Messiah rose from the dead. No other man on the face of the earth ever rose from the dead. And his name carries Yahweh's salvation. That's what it means. So when Yeshua says, if you've seen me, you've seen the Father, verse 1, those that seek Yahweh. If you're seeking Yahweh, how better of a way to find Yahweh himself except looking at Yeshua Messiah? Because he is the expressed image of the Father. And not only what he appeared, but we didn't get to see his appearance, but by faith, we know him. By faith, we stand on his promises. It is by faith that we know that Yahweh will not leave us in the grave. It is by faith that we know that Yahweh has a plan for us when he does what he does with the stars. And how can you not be joyful at the thought of that? To know that he loved us so much that he gave us that perfect opportunity to come before him. And a plan so perfect that it doesn't take much at all on our part other than to do the things he asks and to have faith in what you're doing and to wait on him. You know, one of the things that I read at the reading there with my mom was read in Isaiah. It says that I think it's. We'll just read it right quick. In the 40th chapter of Isaiah, it says in verse 40, verse 28, have you not known? Have you not heard that the everlasting Elohim, Yahweh Almighty, the creator of the ends of the earth, does not faint? He's not weary. And there is no understanding. We cannot possibly search his understanding. His ways are so far above ours, we cannot understand them. He giveth power to the faint, to them that have no might, he increases strength. Even the youth shall faint and be weary, and the young men shall utterly fall. But they that wait upon Yahweh shall renew their strength, and they shall mount up with wings as eagles, and they shall run and not be weary, and they shall walk and not be faint. You know, what Yahweh has in store for his people is beyond anything that we have ever imagined in our wildest dreams. And I've had some wild dreams about what Yahweh has in store for us, but they don't compare to what he really has in store. It's not the first time that I've thought about the heavens and what Yahweh's going to do and what we're going to be doing for eternity. But it won't be sitting around strumming harps on a cloud. He has a lot in store for us. He just asks us to be patient, to wait upon him, to know that Yahweh is going to renew our strength no matter what. Corruption puts on incorruption. Mortality puts on immortality. Whether you're called from the grave or you're changed in the twinkling of an eye, those that wait upon Yahweh will receive that. Yahweh has given us an opportunity that is beyond comparison. Anything that man has ever known, and yet all of the prophets spoke of that one thing. Is to be with Yahweh forever. You read the last book of Revelation. You have the new heavens and the new earth are coming down. And what is it? Death, sorrow, there's no more. All those are gone. We're going to dwell with Yahweh forever. Be restored to the Eden of what we just read here. To be with him, to see him truly face to face. Can you imagine not only 1,000-year period that we get to spend with Yeshua, and the earth is at rest, and to see the restoration of this creation that Yahweh created, but at the end, dwell with Yahweh in his presence, see his face. That's worth waiting for. It's worth fighting for, holding fast, doing what you got to do to the very end, so that you may receive that glorious time to dwell with Yahweh forever. So it's really, I have a lot of scriptures, but those don't really say any more than what I just said. So if anybody's got any comments or questions, I'm more than happy to try to answer them if I can. Yes, sir, Howard.
You said a while ago about seeking Yahweh's face.
Yes.
That can be the beginning of your calling, because your desire is to approach him.
Yes.
So from that moment, he knows you.
Yes.
He takes a moment to understand you and look upon you. And in so many cases, people that are here today even, he calls you to do something.
Yes.
It's not to sit idle. It's to proclaim the good news, as you said. And in order to claim it, you got to know what it is. So a search starts to seek not only his face, but his attributes, who he is Messiah. And then when you realize we're nothing, they are everything, you approach it from that, seeking mercy and understanding to that. That's the only way to show yourself approved. Even. You have to approach him, start with, and he'll recognize you. You do what he says, he'll give you more. He'll give you more until you're full. But we're all called and we're being hired. Every job you go to, you get a position and you do your job.
Yep.
I think that's what it is.
Yep. You know, and the good news is, I have not seen or ear heard or even come into our mind the things that Yahweh has in store for us.
True.
As just because Yahweh will not leave you in the pit. Yeshua is a testimony to that. Yeshua rose from the dead to prove that Yahweh will not leave those that are his in the pit. The last enemy to be destroyed is death. From the time that it reigned in the Garden of Eden until it's destroyed at the end, we live with Yahweh forever. You think about the book being very complicated, but it's not truly that complicated. It has a simple message. Yahweh will redeem and restore what was lost. And he did not create us in vain. And he will not allow what he has started to not come to fruition. That's the good news. Everything else is how he's going to do it. And everything he's asked you to do, you know, seeking Yahweh. I had this, and I was going to read this, and I'll just lay this out. When you come before Yahweh on the Sabbath day, it is an appointed time. It is a meeting time with you and the Father. You keep the Sabbath day, you're seeking him. The feast days that we proclaim 3 times in a year, what do? You appear before Yahweh. If you're seeking Yahweh, then you got to be appearing. All these things are tied together. Every feast day is nothing more than a plan of salvation for Yahweh to bring about the total restoration of the Garden of Eden and us there with him. Everything in those feast days points of how he's going to do it, and the plan he's going to do it, and the hope that he has, that he wants to instill in us. So keeping feast days is not a burden. We know that. We don't see it as a burden. The world sees it as a burden. They see it as something old and something that's done away with and something that doesn't apply, because Satan has deceived them into believing that lie, because he does not want you to be released from the pit. So trust me, the adversary does not want you to be released from the pit. Anything he can do to keep you in that pit, he's going to do and is doing. The good news is how you get out of it. And there is no redemption outside of the Torah. And I don't care how many people that believe in the New Testament only, you cannot find the law of redemption outside of the New Testament. It has to be in the Old Testament. Yeshua is the redemption. And you better hope and pray that Yahweh's law is still in force, because that's the only way you're going to get redeemed. Yes.
What he was saying, when you see Yahweh,
Yes.
in James 1:5, it says, if any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask of Elohim, who gives to all generously and without reproach, and it shall be given him.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, you know, I mentioned this to you, but in Jeremiah 23, that's where you find talking about the righteousness. Jeremiah 23, it says, woe to the pastors that destroy and scatter the sheep of my pasture. Therefore, thus says Yahweh, Elohim of Israel, against the pastors that feed my sheep. You know what did he tell Peter? Feed my sheep. Well, it's not the first time feeding the sheep has been referred to in Yahweh's word. Jeremiah 23 is plainly bringing about a condemnation against those who are not feeding the sheep. And it says, they have scattered my flock, driven them away. They have not visited them. Behold, I will visit upon you the evils of your doing, and I will gather the remnant of my flock from all the countries where I have driven them, and will bring them again to their folds, and they shall be fruitful and increase, and I will set up shepherds over them, which shall feed them, and they shall no more fear nor be dismayed, neither shall they be lacking, says Yahweh. Behold, the days come that I will raise up unto David a righteous branch, a king who shall reign and prosper and execute judgment and justice in the earth. In his days Judah shall be saved, and Israel shall dwell safely. And this is the name whereby he will be called. Yahweh Zidkenu. Yahweh our righteousness. Because you do not know that Yeshua means Yahweh's salvation. But once you're changed in the twinkling of an eye, and you put on mortality, corruption is changed to incorruption, mortality is changed, mortal is changed to immortality. You don't need salvation anymore. What you have is righteousness. And that's why his name is changed as Yahweh is our righteousness. You seek that righteousness, that plan will get you there if you just follow it.